So I'll be presenting the project we haven't started yet, which is Energizing Equity. We had to pause for 6 months because Lucy lost her brother, so we had to wait. So just to introduce myself, so my personal motto is if there's inequality in the workplace, I'm on it. So I hope I'm persuaded you to establish future collaborations. I'm a senior lecturer in HRM at UWI Bristol. I've done research on social class and transition from university to the workplace, women in engineering. So whoever wants more about that, please let me know. Expatriate engineers, and recently neurodiversity in engineering as well. I've done also executive education and EDI consultancy, so if you want some bazaars, then let me know. I can sell myself well. So today I'm going to briefly present very briefly, some main findings from our previous research on neurodiversity in engineering and introduce the study we just started. So we've done ethics approval because my previous research on neurodiversity in engineering was a nightmare. We had to go through data protection, you can't imagine. Anyway, now I know. So I mean, if you're not familiar, so what we mean by neurodiversity, so it's a relatively new term. So in the past, we referred to them as disorders, so conditions like ADHD, autism, etc., as something that needed to be fixed, and this came from the medical model of disability. We then moved on to the social model of disability. So like in the medical model, the problem was the person. With the social model of disability, the problem was the society, the workplace. So the society was not ready to support disabled individuals, and with neurodiversity is a strength-based approach. So we acknowledge that neurodivergent individuals have certain strengths. The brains work differently, and this is something to be celebrated, but still they might require some support in the workplace. So why did we focus on engineering? Apart from the fact that all my contacts in the industry are in engineering, so apart from that, so there is, anecdotally, there are many neurodivergent individuals in the profession, because it has been argued that neurominority thinking strengths like creativity, attention to detail, innovative thinking, etc., align with essential skills needed in the industry. There's still skills shortage in the industry, and that's why many organizations introduce schemes to attract neurodivergent talent. However, there's nothing in place to support these individuals once in the workplace. And we need to make sure that everyone is included. So the previous study, we've had questions focusing on 3 levels, the individual level. So what is the experience of neurodivergent engineers? What happens at organizational level? So are there policies, etc., in place? And at the industry level, so how inclusive is engineering? Which the good news is quite a lot, okay? So some key findings. So because many of you talked about recruitment and getting in the profession, actually the comment you made, Lenny, job ads is a big thing, okay? So ADHD and autistic participants found them very hard to decipher because they did not get what they expected to do. So that's a thing. There were other challenges as well, and apprenticeships were the way in for most participants, because they had the chance to go and show their skills and strengths and then get a place. So these are good news for you. But the main challenges were found to be on what we called getting on and moving up So what was the experience of neurodivergent engineers once in the workplace and their career progression? So they seem to be struggling with their career progression because of organizational barriers, and namely non-transparent promotion criteria, lack of relevant HR policies. Promotion criteria are quite similar with recruitment, basically, but even worse because nobody knew what they had to expect. There's this in-group bias. There are specific behaviors that are encouraged, like going to the pub for drinks afterwards, which was not very inclusive for men and neurodivergent participants, of course, or going to the rugby match, etc. An autistic participant said that I haven't suffered more in my life, and he had reached a CTO level, and he had to force himself to go to all these events, but he was really struggling. So these formal and informal behaviors, very rigid professional standards, and this is very important for engineers because of the chartership. So in order to get chartered, you need to tick certain boxes, and neurodivergent engineers did not necessarily tick these boxes because of a different skill set. So they had to work around it differently. And actually, a lady with ADHD, she went in order to get chartered. And she sat there with them and said, you need to give me the chartership. And she went through everything and then said, oh, we don't know what to do, we give you the chartership. So there was significant lack of support from the line managers because they did not necessarily understand or they misinterpret. Like one participant with ADHD, once he disclosed, his line manager said, oh, what am I supposed to do now? Why don't you tell HR? So you're absolutely functional. Why would you need reasonable accommodations? Well, here you go. So, and unfortunately, there were many instances of discrimination, bullying, and harassment. All autistic participants were bullied quite badly, unfortunately, and also many dyslexic participants were bullied for their spelling, etc. And with ADHD, it was mostly scolding them for fidgeting and doing other things. So all this inspired us with my very good friend and colleague Anna, and two more colleagues. Yeah, I'm not sure, sorry. And so to focus on career development within the energy sector, and the project we called Energizing Equity. So this project focuses on investigating the barriers that prevent neurodivergent individuals from realizing their potential, and we are focusing on neurodivergent energy researchers. So what barriers are they facing? Line managers in the energy sector, neurotypical and neurodivergent. Okay, so how are they supporting neurodivergent members of staff, and what's happening if they are neurodivergent themselves? From our previous research, neurodivergent line managers obviously offered more support, and they approached managing teams differently. So they were more creative, more interdisciplinary, and so on. And then I won't tell you about another project, just I speak about. And finally, the views of HR professionals in the energy sector. Because like I'm in the HR and hardly anyone talks about it, and we don't know what we're doing. So this is it. So with the outcomes, so once we've analyzed our data, we'll organize a half-day virtual workshop, so you're all invited. So we'll be sharing our data, and hopefully together we'll develop a framework for the energy sector, for HR professionals and energy line managers, and we will identify hopefully some solutions that Lenny can then implement. And we need your help. So fortunately, all of you have got access to energy researchers. So please force them to participate. This is not very ethical, but it's off record. No, it's not. Anyway, so please advertise our studies. So we would like to hear from you if you are a neurodivergent energy researcher. And at this point, I would just like to stress that you might not have an official assessment. As long as you identify as neurodivergent, it's fine with us because we are aware of the long waiting list. And also, I realized I've got ADHD through this previous project, I would say, because I hadn't realized it before. I thought it was normal for me to keep moving and interrupt others, etc. So if you recognize that you've got neurodivergent traits, please feel free to participate. HR professionals in the energy sector, so your HR from your university, drop them an email, and line managers. Okay, so neurodivergent and neurotypical. For any questions, just let us know. Thank you.